One family. It's moving. At this juncture, we've been waiting, and now we have to introduce our guest speaker, Mike Mazi Arnold, to welcome you.
Thank you so much. I consider it a humble honor to be here today to share this meaningful remembrance. I can't begin to understand the depth of your grief, your loss, but I'm starting to, and I think the world needs to. The world needs to wake up because the same evil that decimated just not that long ago a generation of your amazing people is working to do the same to the rest of the world today, and nobody has stood up to stop it, right. Except for you. And I believe your time is coming that the world will see your dignity, your righteousness, and your cause is the just cause. They say that those who don't know history are doomed to repeat it. That's why your history has been purged. It's a tragedy that you could line up 1,000 Americans and 990 of them couldn't find Nigeria on a map, and not one of them would have ever heard the word Biafra. And that does need to change, and Lord willing, that's changing now. And I'm going to go through the history, and not for your sake because you know it, but this is streaming, and hopefully some people watching will learn a thing or two. Yeah. There's no place on earth. It's like the powers of the world, well, they got together and said, we need a place to extract from and then dump our trash. Let's do that in Africa. They're black. Who's going to stop us? That's what the European powers did in the 1800s. They got together in Berlin and carved up Africa like a Christmas turkey. You get this piece, and you get this piece, and you get this piece. There's not one African there. And the history of the brutality, the slavery of this amazing land, it's almost unbearable to comprehend, and it's going on still today. The British claimed the area of Africa that we call Nigeria. It was never called that before. The British administrator's girlfriend thought up that name, but that's what we call it, so that's what I'll refer to it as. But before all that, Africa, Nigeria, specifically, and for the people watching, Biafra is, they call it the southeast of Nigeria. It's actually on the map, it's south, but it's southeast. It's a territory, largely the Niger Delta region. And it's the home of a tribe, a nation called the Igbo, I-G-B-O. There are many other tribes. There were many other nations in this area called Nigeria, Yoruba, Hausa, and so many more. Specifically, we're going to be talking about the Igbo today. One of the most remarkable civilizations that was discovered when the British came to destroy it. While Europe was still in the Dark Ages, the crude bronze, the Iron Age, 800s to 1100s, the Igbo were doing some of the most advanced metal work on Earth, casting lost wax bronze with multiple pieces that were incredible. When the British first started bringing these artifacts home, nobody believed that they came from there. Amazing civilization. Written communication, written language. A form of governance that was really, for today, would be cutting edge and very ideal, decentralized, community-based, consensus-based, the history of literature, of architecture, and again, the technology way ahead of the Europeans. That's the heritage of the Igbo people. And I'm not saying other tribes and nations in Africa didn't have that. Of course, they did. But today is Memorial Day, and we're focusing on these amazing people. Today, anywhere you go in the world, and you find Igbo people who have relocated, called them diaspora, they always rise to the top, always. And it's not through clawing and taking and stealing. It's by building, by it with integrity, with community, with generosity. Everywhere they go, they rise to the very top, and it's a good thing that they do because they're beneficial, benevolent, good people. I remember my first time visiting Nigeria. My late spiritual father, Professor John Ofebu, we visited Owerri, which is in the land that they call Biafra, Igbo area. And I was like most Americans, I couldn't find Nigeria on a map at that time. And I go into the first place we go, and the person says, "Hello, you're welcome." Now, that took me a while to process, because in America, that's just something we throw out. You say thank you, someone says you're welcome, and you go on. But here I am walking into someone's home, and their first thing is to say, "You are welcome." And then I realized they're welcoming me into their home. And it meant so much to me, because it's meaningful. You are welcome. It's something you hear every time you meet an Igbo person anywhere in the world. They welcome you. You're welcome. And that's meant a lot to me. Well, these amazing people with amazing potential, living in peace, the British came along and started to use these people in this tribe to run the British machinery of their protectorate. British never colonized. They didn't go there to export anything good from Great Britain. They went there to take everything good. But the Igbo people embraced the English language, English British education, sipping tea, all of that, and the Christian faith, and were used by the British to run the machinery of their empire all through Nigeria. The reliable, trusted, hardworking, diligent, remarkable Igbo ran the British machinery. Now, the British, they had divided this large country into two protectorates, north and south. The south, again, vibrant, entrepreneurial, rising. Now let me tell you the history of the north. There was a large kingdom, historically, the Hausa kingdom, historically peaceful. And then raiders started coming in. I think originally, they say from the Sahara, but certainly from the greater Sahel, the sub-Sahara region, nomadic warlords called Fulani. It's a tribe that's not indigenous to the area. But their way of doing things, being Islamic, radical Islamic jihadis from the start, was not to build, not to integrate, but to co-opt. They went in and bumped off all the Hausa kings and took over. We're in charge now. That's the way that the British found it. 1804, 40 years before the British showed up, there was a Fulani leader named Usman Danfodio. He launched a jihad. He stated and believed that his purpose, what he was building, was to be the launch pad for the prophesied Islamic Mahdi. The Mahdi is the jihad messiah that Muhammad prophesied. In the last days, a leader would rise up, assemble the black flags of the world, purify the platform, and then wipe off the Christian and Jewish armies of the world, and Jesus will come back and thank him and bow to this. I mean, it's insane, but that's the theology, that's the prophecy that's taught and that's believed, that someday this Mahdi will come. Usman Dan Fodio specifically, intentionally, and he wrote about it prolifically, started the Sokoto Caliphate to be the launch pad for the Mahdi. He had the blood of Muhammad in him, and he believed one of his heirs would be that person. So that's the history, and that's the foundation of the Sokoto Caliphate. That's what the British found controlling brutally the north. The Sokoto Caliphate, at its peak, held more than 2 million slaves. The single largest enslaver of blacks in history. So there were certainly others that bought and sold slaves, and certainly others that enslaved people, but the largest enslaver, taking a free person, putting shackles on them, making them slaves, and then either keeping them or selling them, the larger slave trade, on par with the Atlantic and the Indian Ocean, was the Trans-Sahara slave trade. They would pack them up on camel caravans and send them north. The reason you don't see the black populations in the Middle East like you do elsewhere is because they just castrated the males. That's what they did, millions and millions over the years. That's the Sokoto Caliphate, recorded history, can't argue with it. And it is still a center of slavery today. There is still active slave trade right under the nose, right in the domain of this caliphate. That's a fact. The British, when they went to conquer and subdue the land, met this caliphate, and they decided to do effectively what the Fulani had done to the Hausa. They didn't wipe it out. They just said, okay, you're going to stay there, you're going to keep doing what you're doing, but you're going to do our bidding. You're just be armed forces. You keep this place in check. They called it indirect rule. We'll rule through you. So that's what the British did. They left this caliphate, this prophetic launch pad of global jihad by their own intention, by their own writings. They left it in place in the north. Well, it was 1914. The British administrator, a guy named Lord Dugard, hey, having two separate organizations here is redundant. Let's just simplify. Let's lump this all together and make it one protectorate. And that's where his girlfriend said, hey, let's call it Nigeria. That'd be cute. And they lumped all these different people, these different kingdoms, these different nations together, and put control of it intentionally in the north. The good enforcers, indirect rule, makes it easy. These are our henchmen. And that was what they did. That was in 1914, really not that long ago. Fast forward, television comes along, people start thinking, hey, this empire stuff, there's something wrong with this. And the British started strategic downsizing. There was no wave across the British Empire saying, oh, we must give freedom to these people, they deserve. No, there was, okay, all this the politics and PR of empire is not good for us. How about we put on paper, give them independence? Oh, we want the resources anyway. We can just tie that up with contracts. We'll keep looting the land, and it costs us less. So they did a strategic downsizing around the world. But if you look at the pattern, everywhere they went, everywhere they left, they created these entities that didn't exist before, these nations, and they intentionally shackled together people that were incompatible. The nations left behind by Great Britain were intentionally designed to fail. And you look at this around the world. India and Pakistan used to be one. Yes. It cost 1 million lives to separate those two. And you go around the world and find these former British contraptions that were designed to fail. Nigeria is one of the last remaining, certainly the biggest remaining British contraptions that was designed to fail. When they started the independence movement, it was 1950. And according to one of the administrators at the time, who wrote a book about it, they were given orders from above, from the Home Office, to hold an election but make it a sham and make sure the North gets control. That was the orders from England. And that's what they did. They created a nation and put the North in control. And here's what the real fundamental issue is about that time they discovered one of the world's largest untapped oil reserves in the land of Biafra. These people who were their friends, who were their, it was 1960, the independence, who were their friends, who were their allies, their brothers, you know, spoke the language, worshipped the same, valued the education, ran the empire. These people happened to have a large oil reserve under their feet, and the British wanted it. That's why they were there. It's the only reason they were there. And so they nationalized the oil. It's below the oil belongs to the federal government, and the federal government belongs to our allies, the indirect rule, the Muslim North. That's who the oil belongs to. Ironically, the other minerals, the hard minerals, belong to the people on above the ground. Why? Because those are all in the North. Any way you cut it, the North has the minerals, oil or otherwise. I don't want to nationalize the ones that are already in control of those people. And that's how they left Nigeria in 1960. Well, these vibrant entrepreneurial people in the Biafra region reported at the time to be the fastest growing economic region on earth for a decade. Think about that. The fastest growing economic region on earth for a decade. What did I say? I said these people, wherever they go, when they have freedom, they rise. They were, wow, truly on path to be a Wakanda. Truly, if you look at their ingenuity, their advanced technology, their work ethic, their value of education, honor, amazing people that had now an oil reserve under them. The potential is mind-boggling of what could be today and what can be still. 1966, these amazing people were trying to say, hey, wait a second, you shackled us as slaves to a bloodthirsty jihad caliphate, and you gave them all our resources? This isn't right. And tried to work for a way they could work together, a federation that would allow some independence and autonomy. But still, yeah, we think we can make this contraption work. Just give us some freedom. Well, that was not only summarily rejected, it was rejected with a pogrom in 1966. Tens of thousands of the Igbo around the country who were running the British Empire were suddenly massacred in a very short period of time. I've met two older women who were young daughters of missionaries back then, had a missionary compound. And they told me they remember waking up in the middle of the night, two little girls, hearing the screams from the medical clinic next door, where these northern soldiers came in and were killing all the Igbo in the beds, cutting the babies out of pregnant women and all that. That happened, and these girls heard the screams. That happened all over Nigeria, and so the Igbo retreated. What are they supposed to do? They left. See ya. Went back to Biafra, and ultimately were forced to declare their independence. We can't be shackled to this bloodthirsty, murderous jihad caliphate that wants to kill us all as they prepare this ground for the Mahdi. We can't do it. And they declared independence. And Great Britain, and you know, I have to say this, this has been eye-opening for me. Because you know, Britain is, and many people say it's already a failed state with the invasion of the jihadis in Great Britain. And all I have to say is you reap what you sow. Mm-hmm. That's the chickens coming home to roost, and I hate to say it, but you reap what you sow. Great Britain could say, okay, Igbos, you love us, you've embraced us, you teach your children our English, you worship Jesus and all that. Let's do this. Let's build a great nation here. You got the oil, let's go. That's not what the British did. The British backed the caliphate. Backed it with arms, with support, with planes, weapons, everything, and international cover, diplomatic cover. And the North, they enforced a strict blockade that kept every bit of food and other aid from entering Biafra. That's right. Shot down Red Cross aid planes. And in a period of 30 months, between 1967 and 1970, while American kids were smoking weed at Woodstock, the children of these amazing people, the numbers are disputed. The sterilized official British number is 1 million. Now, could you honestly say it's okay to starve to death one child for oil? One child so the caliphate can remain in control. One child is too many. They say, oh, it's just 1 million. Irish missionaries said, no, there's more like 5 million. And an accepted number is about 3 to 3.6 million. That's generally accepted. In 30 months, starved to death as a tactic, stated, this is a tactic, we're going to keep doing this until they submit. The British looked the other way, the US said, oh, it's an eternal matter. Millions of children starved to death in 30 months, mostly children. That's what we're memorializing today, a lost generation of the heroes who fought for freedom. I've had the honor over the years, I've been in Nigeria 16 times now, I've had the honor of sitting down with people who lived through that and hearing their stories and hearing their hearts, and it's burned into my heart, the trauma, the horror, the loss. But the world just moved on. Just moved on. You know, there's not a comparison. This is not, you know, anything like this has ever happened anywhere is evil. You know, there's monuments in Hiroshima, Nagasaki, 200,000 killed. The world remembers. The world says we're never going to do that again. There are memorials to the Jews that were killed in the Holocaust. The world said never again. But it happened again. And if you put this piece back in history where it belongs, and you accept it for what it is, the truth, you see that what's happening today in the Middle Belt and the North, hundreds of thousands of Christians and nonviolent Muslims massacred as they continue to clear the land for the coming of the Mahdi that they believe is coming through the Sokoto Caliphate, the only caliphate on earth today that fits their prophecy. And they're running out of time. They believe it'll be by the 15th century in the Islamic calendar, and we're almost to their deadline. They're still clearing the land. They're still massacring. This is the same jihad, this is the same genocide that started in 1804. And if you look at it that way, which is factual, as many as 6 million have been killed. That puts it right on par with the German Holocaust. And it's ongoing today. It's ongoing today. And here we have U.S. congressmen saying they're so glad to work with the Nigerian government to end this killing. That's never going to happen. The Nigerian government is the same power base today that killed 3 million or more Biafrans in the lifetime of many people sitting in this room.
That's right.
It's the same caliphate in control. And just so people understand, the Nigerian constitution, this so-called secular democracy, the constitution today was written by a northern Islamic general.
That's right.
And inflicted upon the land in 1999. It mentions Sharia law in Islamic terms 165 times and not one Christian reference.
That's right.
And today, Memorial Day, the Nigerian government, the military said any observance of Memorial Day today in Biafra land is outlawed.
That's right.
You're not allowed to remember your dead. That is satanic. That is the government of Nigeria today. It is fully complicit.
Thank you.
One remarkable thing about, and I'm going to tell this to the people that are watching, all of this truth that these people carry, I have not, being here with them today, not heard one word of bitterness, not one word of revenge. Just memorial, just honor, and just hope. The dignity is amazing. These are people we can stand with. And these are people we should stand with. They paid the ultimate price for standing against tyranny, against darkness, against jihad. And they're still standing today. God bless them. I posted this morning, I said, today, we lay aside any differences. Today, there's no tribe, there's no region, there's no religion. Today, we remember. Today, we are all Biafran. And sitting there just a minute ago, I started scrolling through the comments. Let this be an encouragement to you, and you can do it yourself. There's comments. I am Yoruba. Today I am Biafran. I apologize for what they did. I didn't know. And I am Hausa. I mean, all over, north, south, east, west, middle belt. Nigerians saying, today we are all Biafran. Forgive us. And that's not what even made me cry. I started to read the comments, the replies. Because Biafrans are very active people, very verbal, and very good online. All the replies. You are welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you. We forgive you. Thank you. That, my friends, that is the character of people that cannot be held down. That is the character of people that God has special plans for. I believe that the nation that we call Nigeria today, it's on its last days. By the grace of God, this evil contraption is over. And I call on you to accept the apology, accept the ignorance, give grace to those. Now they see it, because now they're victims of the same thing. You were first, you were singled out. And this government has done everything they can to marginalize your people. I have never seen worse racism than the tribalism that is fostered against the Igbo people that do not deserve it. Grace, reach out, stand together. Reach out your arms and say, look, here's what we're standing for. It's not about a tribe. It's not about even a region. This is about truth. This is about integrity. This is about self-determination. This is about the same principles that led the American founding fathers to declare and fight for independence when they pledged their lives, their fortunes, and their sacred honor against the same damn British Empire. Be the people that God made you to be, and rise up and be the big one. Show the world what honor looks like. Show the world what grace looks like. Show the world what you can be, and invite all the others to participate, because they all are victims of this same diabolical machine. They're all victims of this same bloodthirsty jihad caliphate that to this day is, well, I'm going to tell a little side story here. The current Sultan of Sokoto, okay? It's a hereditary kingdom. He's a blood descendant of Usman Dan Fodio. He's the 20th Sultan of Sokoto. Unbroken line. Never has anybody in that line repudiated, renounced, or anything that's been done before. Okay? Millions of slaves, the biggest enslaving entity ever. Violent, bloody, jihadi, genocidal, by definition, regime that still controls the machine of Nigeria. The man in charge of that today, before he was Sultan, he was not in the branch that was on the throne at the time. And he was not the youngest of his bloodline. In fact, the youngest child of 50-some-odd children. He was raised in the palace, read Dan Fodio, studied all that, knew that this is where the Mahdi is coming. There's an Islamic principle that's baked into their fundamental thinking. And if you understand the Quran and the history, Muhammad started his cult in a place called Medina, but they ran him out. And they did a hijra, is what they called it, or a tactical retreat and regrouping to Medina. Started in Mecca and did the retreat to Medina. He drives, it's an Islamic principle. And it is prophesied that that will happen again. Well, in the War on Terror, started in 2001, that was their second Mecca experience. They were being bombed and driven out of all these regions in the Middle East. This was their great tribulation. And in the midst of that, this son, descendant of Muhammad, in Muhammad's blood, descendant of Usman Dan Fodio, was a military general and was wrangled an assignment as military attaché in the War on Terror. Nigeria is an OIC, Organization of Islamic Countries, went as a representative of an Islamic country stationed in Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, and Saudi Arabia during the War on Terror, and he was not there representing the interests of the West. And spent 3 years there. We don't know what he did there. There's one man that does. He's running for vice president under Peter Obi. Kwankwaso was his point of contact, the defense chief. Just FYI. We don't know exactly what he did there, but all of a sudden in 2006 he retired at I believe 50, came home, and in a short period of time there was a mysterious plane crash that killed 10 of the top military generals who were reformers. They were working on reform, and they all died, boom, in a plane crash. Human error, accident, move on. 43 days later, from Abuja airport, somebody shut off the radar, and the plane carrying the Sultan of Sokoto, his likely heir, son, and several grandchildren and many others died in another plane crash. Less than 24 hours later, the officials declared a human error. And that's closed the book. There were some air traffic control bureaucrats that were arrested. It's your fault. Moved on. And within 4 days, historic record speed, this guy who was not in the branch, not the likely heir, not the oldest, the youngest of his line, all of a sudden was crowned the Sultan of Sokoto. Really interesting, isn't it? And not long after that, and going on to today, all the black flags of the world have assembled in northern Nigeria. You have ISIS, ISWAP, Al-Aqarawa, Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra, and the list goes on, that are now operating in this kingdom inside the Sokoto Caliphate. And this guy that has happened to be the guy that was in all these theaters during the War on Terror sits on the throne and is mysterious, just miraculous ascendance to the throne. Well, the Islamic theology is that the body will come from somewhere that's unexpected, out of nowhere. Gee. Prophecy, Islamic prophecy is being fulfilled in northern Nigeria today. They intend for it to be the launch pad of global jihad. They are trying to take control of this nation, according to the Sultan's uncle, dip the Quran in the Atlantic Ocean, Sharia law across all of Nigeria, and then a launch pad for global jihad. The Sultan just last year was pushing for Sharia in some southern states. Okay? You gotta see this for what it is, folks. You gotta see this for what it is. Yes. This is, in northern Nigeria today, they believe they are filling the prophecy of the Mahdi, and they're going to conquer the world from there. The Igbo were the first group that stood up to that.
That's right.
And they murdered more than 3 million of them to stop it, to stop them from staying, to subdue them. Islam means submission. And that's what this is. That's the history, and that history is alive today. They are purifying the land, the north and the middle belt, according to prophecy. They're killing and driving out all the Christians and all the non-jihad Muslims that are there. And it will continue. There is no sanction that will stop this. There's no politics that will stop this. There's no incentive package, aid package that will stop this. But folks, I don't believe it's going to take an all-out bloody war to stop it. There are people led, I believe, can be led by the Igbo. across Nigeria and around the world who are ready to stand with you today. Lay aside your differences and identify and stand on those principles that unite us all. And I'm going to say this also, do that internally as well. Please stop airing your Biafran dirty laundry in public. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear who did that and who did what. You know, every group tells me the other group works for the government. I don't know. Those things can be resolved, and I will be happy to help resolve them, but do it in private.
Amen.
And anybody that refuses to do it in private, those are the ones you got to watch out for.
That's right.
So all this to say, I love you. I stand with you. I have the greatest hope.
That's right. We love you. We love you. We love you.
God bless you.
Amen.
Thank you. Thank you.
IPOB. This is a great speech from our guest speaker, Mike Arnold.
Yes.
We are transmitting live. We are from Culver City, California. IPOB.
One family.
And we remain one family under HOD and DOS. We are here with us, the exchequer, Mike Arnold. We are happy. We are grateful to have you in our midst here today, the 30th of May, 2026, live from Culver City, California, USA. Oh, hell! Yeah. Oh, hell! Yeah.